What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Dev and the Bear. Today we're going to talk about the UFC 287, which was a pretty fun card. Lots of great finishes, and the ones that weren't finishes were typically really good fights. We'll start with the headliner of the prelims, Kelvin Gastelum defeating Chris Curtis. That was a really fun fight. I feel like it was very back and forth. It's hard to. I have thoughts on the judging on it, but first, I guess we'll talk about the fight. They both threw down, which is exactly what we would have expected. Kelvin Gastelum loves to throw down. Chris Curtis is very good at it. I will say that I would like to see Kelvin go back to his wrestling. Whenever he tried and he had Chris Curtis's back, or he tried to get Chris Curtis's back, you can see the rust he has with his grappling. Because I feel like there were some things that he did that were obvious, like getting your hooks in. What is it? Position before pressure or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't getting his positioning at all. So Chris Curtis just got up and got out of everything that Kelvin had on him. And I was like, dude, you're a wrestler, and you don't know how to get his back properly. That's pretty sad.
Shame.
But and I think it's because he's just fallen so in love with his hands and going out there and having these battles, and that's cool and all, but you got a really big win right now. You need to keep having wins. You can't do that if your head's getting busted up every fight.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of this fight. It's probably my favorite fight of the night. These guys threw down, and we finally saw Kelvin Gastelum finally put something together. I feel like he's been in kind of a slump as of late, and it's crazy to see because after the Izzy fight, like he really hasn't been able to put anything together at all. Whenever like Chris Curtis got back up, it just shows also though, like Chris Curtis is really good takedown defense. He doesn't get taken down a lot. Even when he fought Jack Hermanson, I don't think it went to the ground for very long when it did. But yeah, man, I don't know. This fight was super good. I do think Kelvin Gastelum won the fight, but I'm a big fan of Chris Curtis since he got into the UFC. That's how I found out about him. And so it's just really, really cool to see that he still is an exciting fighter, and it's just it sucks to see him lose, but it is what it is. And but I'm happy for Kelvin to finally be back in the win column and get a solid win over a top 14 guy. I think he's 14 and Curtis was 15. So it's cool to see him actually win against a top 15 guy, because I know when he fought Ian Heinisch, I don't remember if Ian was ranked, but I think it was his last win.
Yeah.
And so but yeah, man, hopefully we see some more action from Kelvin Gastelum soon, kind of keep that hype going,
Well, the point I wanted to bring up with the judging, it was a really close fight, and all three judges gave it to Kelvin. I wouldn't have been surprised if one of the judges gave it to Chris Curtis, but this is just an idea that I have, or not idea, but this is a thought that I have, that maybe a lot of people don't have a lot of, they're not as open to it, they don't know about it, or whatever the deal is. ONE FC, the way they judge cards or the way they judge fights isn't round by round. They don't score them round per round. They score it as a whole fight. So they wait until the fight is done to score the whole thing. I think that would have a pretty big effect on who won that fight, even though the judges probably, since the majority of them gave it to Kelvin, I feel like if you look at that fight as a whole, Kelvin might not win it, just because other than like the second round, I don't think there were a lot of times, maybe in the third, but I don't think there were a lot of times that Kelvin looked like he was cleaner and fresher than Chris Curtis, up until like the last minute of the fight. But yeah, I'm curious if anyone has any thoughts on the judging system in ONE FC, if they were to implement that in the UFC, if they were to judge fights as a whole instead of round per round.
Yeah.
Could that solve the poor judging that we've had lately? I don't think this was poor judging at all. Just, we know what I'm talking about.
Just a clear winner type thing,
Yeah.
What's it called? Some people are saying that Kelvin should fight Sean Strickland now. And I'm like, okay, hold on real quick. Let's get him another win inside the top 10 and get him back over there. I just think, I don't know, the Sean Strickland's pace is just really weird for somebody of Kelvin's size, It'd be Kelvin trying to find his footing for a majority of that fight.
I could see that because of Sean's jab.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm going for Kelvin, though, if they fight.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I hope Kelvin takes him down and beats him up and submits him.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I would love
honestly.
that. Just want to see wrestling. That's all. I want to see his wrestling come back. That's his strength.
Yeah,
but he's losing it. You lose your strength, and you're relying on your boxing, which is sloppy.
it's not.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
He swings those hands. He doesn't have a whole lot of technique in him. He's got decent combinations, but they're kind of wild.
Yeah, that's the thing is just like he just loves to fight. You know,
like, and I get it. It's just you. That's cool that you love to fight. You're not going to be doing it very long the way you're fighting.
I don't even think like title shots even like the getting to the tops even like in the future. Like he sees it coming. You know, I think he's just kind of like I'm just gonna go out there and do what I love to do.
Maybe.
And so, but hey, whatever he does though, I'm a big fan of it. So you got Christian Rodriguez on the main card, he defeated Raul Rosas Jr. by decision. In a yeah, man, I don't know, this one kind of sucked just because I was really going for Raul Rosas Jr. But we got to find out so there's a new name. His name is Christian Rodriguez, and I'm a fan of his. But I mean, the first round was really just it was all Raul just trying to get him to the ground. He got him down, then Christian got back up. But he was super gassed by the second and third round. It was just all Christian Rodriguez after that, and that was pretty much the story of the fight.
Yeah, I think what we had said leading into it was someone's not going to be ready, and they're going to kind of be exposed, and that was Raul Rosas Jr. I think he got pushed too fast. I think everybody was too hyped on him. He went out there sprinting and shooting for a takedown so fast.
Do you see how far away he was when he shot?
Yeah, it's bad. It looks bad. It's stupid. You're stupid for that. Oh, well, you can't do what he does. I don't need to. I'm not the professional fighter. What standard am I put in?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't understand going in there like that. Like, both guys, I think, could have headlined the prelims instead of opening the main card on a pay-per-view, and I said that before.
Gastelum versus Curtis would have been the best main card opener.
That would have been a fantastic main card opener. But we got what we got, and the jiu-jitsu was fun to watch. The counters were great, sweeps were great. But yeah, Christian Rodriguez just kept ending up on top, and he got the decision win over Raul. I fully expect Raul to be back. He is really good. I think he will live up to the hype at some point. I just think he got pushed way too fast.
Yeah. I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I would have, if I were the UFC and I would have brought this kid in, I would have probably had him just keep taking fights on the Contender Series and build his record and fight against like guys that are, you know, on the cusp of getting into the UFC. You know, I mean, maybe he's book him some fights in Fury or something like that, just to.
Well, he's already fighting in Fury, I think.
But yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying is like, you know, against these guys who are on the cusp to where it's like, you know, put him in because he's a professional fighter. So I mean, they're the lightweight division, and Fury probably could have used another face as well, you know, and also. But yeah, that's why also the Contender Series fights is because these guys are just like they're fighting to get into the UFC because they've already fought other people. I'm a big fan of the kid. I think he's a good fighter. I think he needs to get a little more comfortable with his stand up for sure. Because like he knows one thing, and that's grapple. And with the division that he's in, it's just like, you know, even being in the top 25 in the UFC, it's like you have to be pretty well-rounded everywhere, you know,
especially in the bantamweight division.
But you know, he's young. He's 20. He's 18. So I think he's got time to grow. But Christian Rodriguez, I mean, he looked great whenever he was able to stay composed. He stayed calm. Joe Rogan said it like 15 fucking times that fight, in case you didn't hear him. But he said calm, man. I mean, there was some times where I was getting kind of frustrated with Rodriguez. I think some inexperience showed because he could have got the rear naked choke.
There were a couple of times, and like we were saying a second ago, the position over pressure. Same with Raul Rosas Jr. So that's too many names. There were a lot of times they could have gotten it under the neck, but they chose to do something else instead before getting a clean position for the submission. And yeah, that's exactly what you're saying, the inexperience. And that's fine. That's where they're at in their career. That's perfectly fine. That's an okay mistake to make.
It just sucks to see it on the main stage.
Yeah, you know? On a pay-per-view. Like, people don't want to pay that much to watch two guys who are kind of new.
Pay us $80 a fight.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. But what's it called? I don't know. I interrupted you. I'm sorry. But yeah, go ahead.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I wanted I've made my thoughts pretty clear on it. So
Yeah, I think also though, man, like Christian Rodriguez, like I think he kind of just took a chance just to kind of bully him a little more, also to let him know, hey, man, like there's levels to this shit. But I'm also like, dude, the only best way to humble somebody is to finish him. Just get the fucking choke. Like it was under the neck under the chin at one point.
yeah,
but I don't know, man. I think I was just also pissed because I put all my verdict points on Christian Rodriguez by submission. So I'm like, you're a piece of shit, Christian. No, I'm just kidding. But I was mad that he didn't get the submission because I wasted all my fucking points on that. And
but
so,
after that,
yeah,
we had Kevin Holland and Santiago Ponzinibbio, which I think was also a pretty fun fight.
It was a fun fight.
It was back and forth in a way that kind of still showed that Kevin Holland had the upper hand the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still a fun fight. I don't think Santiago was really out of the fight at any point until he got knocked out and face planted on the ground.
Yeah, it was a back and forth fight, and that's kind of what I expected from these guys. What really sucked was like Kevin Holland. I watched a little bit of his interview with Errol Hwani yesterday, and he said that whenever he put on the 4-ounce glove, he started hitting pads.
He broke his hand.
Yeah, well, he said he didn't re-break it. But he's like, I didn't re-break my hand. He's like, but I knew that I wasn't ready to be putting on 4-ounce gloves yet, though. That's the problem. He's like, and it was too late to pull out of the fight. And
I think he said it was broken in the post-fight interview after the fight with UFC.
Yeah, what's it called? I don't know. I watched it. The interview that he did came out Monday, and he's like, "No, I didn't break it again." He just said he just kind of re-aggravated it a little bit.
I wonder if he just was under the impression it was.
Yeah, because he said that when he said that he wasn't able to really even throw it in the back before the fight because he was like he could feel it. He's like I was not ready to be putting on these small gloves yet, but he's like that's why he was kind of working his jab a lot more also, and it was working. I think there were some good shots. Ponzinibbio was finally like kind of finding his footing in the later rounds like later parts of the rounds. He was kind of understanding how to go about it, but Kevin Holland's really unorthodox, but he's also technical when he wants to be, and he's super long, so it's like there's only so much you can do with that, you know.
He's got that kung fu GED.
Yeah, what's crazy was Ponzinibbio's last fight was it was kind of the same thing. He was kind of behind a little bit. It was kind of back and forth. It was like a real back and forth fight. Then he gets the knockout real out of the blue. It was against Alex Morano.
Oh, okay.
And so after that, then he fights Kevin Holland in a pretty back and forth fight. It could easily be 1-1 on those scorecards, and then he gets knocked out. And I mean, talk about a fucking knockout though, dude.
Yeah,
he face planted.
That was rough.
I was like, God, man. And he said he wasn't out. And then at first I kind of was like, I mean, maybe. But then I saw the replay.
Face plant?
Yeah, I saw the face plant. And I'm like, man, yeah, your nose smashed on that canvas, dude. Like,
yeah, my friend that I was watching with, she went to the bathroom and then came back. Like, just after it happened, I was like, dude, face planted. It was pretty bad. And she looked up and was like, oh, I missed it. I was like, don't worry, they'll show it probably like 10 times because it was pretty nice.
Yeah, that's what the hard part of this fight, this card was. There was really no bathroom break fights.
No.
They're all pretty good, man. But on to the next fight. Did you have any last minute things?
Nope, that was it.
And so onto the mid card fight, we had Rob Font knocking out Adrian Yanez in the first round. But man, these guys are throwing down, dude, for those 2 minutes.
Yeah. I think Rob had the cleaner shots, obviously, and it just shows clean boxing. Adrian Yanez still has some work to do, and nothing wrong with that. Same thing we were saying with Raul Rocha Jr. and Christian Rodriguez. You know, he's a little older than them, but he's still kind of new as well, so he'll get there, and he's already fighting someone like Rob Font, so that's pretty cool. But I think that I'd sent you a TikTok a while back. It was back in January 5th, I believe, of Adrian Yanez getting ready for this fight. And it was some sparring video, and it was him doing exactly what he did when he got knocked out by Rob Font. Yeah. And I kind of sent it to you and was like saying, he keeps posting this, and it's kind of weird that he's posting it. I feel like he's getting hit a lot. And he relied on a lot of head movement that wasn't working. And I'm sure people who hear this will criticize me. Oh, well, you're not a real fighter. You don't know. Except I do know. That's why we do this podcast.
It's our thing to talk about this kind of stuff, you know.
And I know, like, no, I haven't gone in and fought anybody, but I've fought several people, and I've sparred with anybody. Sparred with fighters. I get it. I don't think that Adrian's a bad fighter. I don't know why anybody would take that from what I'm saying, but if anyone were to get upset because they think I'm saying that, well, you're wrong. But I think that's a hole with Adrian is that first round, and I said this when we recorded last, was that he has a tough first round against really good strikers. Rob Font is a very good striker, and he put on a lot of pressure, and Adrian was trying to be evasive, and it didn't work. That's okay. It happens. He's still kind of early in his career. That's a hole he can fix. I'd like to see him fix it by working on his defense. Sometimes you can't use head movement and back up. That, eventually it caught up with Anderson Silva, and he kept getting knocked out for it. So we all learn. We all live. We all learn. Yeah. I really want to see him come back.
For sure. I mean, what's it called? It was just like I was really I was happy to see, I'm a fan of both, and so I was happy to see Rob Font finally get a win and solidify that he is a top.
He's still there.
With his past 2 fights, man, it was just he hasn't really shown much, and they've been beatings. Even though he will land like 100 more strikes than the other person, it hasn't really been much, and he added extra power behind his jab this go around, and he let his right hand go. That's what whenever I would see the exchanges between Rob Font and Adrian, it was just like, you knew Adrian was looking for that counter because he has a really good counter left hook. But like whenever he was looking for that counter, he would shield up and then like kind of get ready to throw and not really have any type of defense to that. And so Rob Font knew that, being as fast and as long as Rob Font was able to hit him with a really clean right hand. I don't know. Let's say it's one of those things where it's like I'm happy for Rob Font. I'm happy to see the win. Adrian's gonna be back. I'm not really worried about it. It just sucks to see him because he was like this close to kind of getting into that top 10 fight. And I mean, I think if he would have beat Rob Font, another fight would have put him in title contention.
For sure.
And so,
especially if he would have gotten the Sean O'Malley fight, because I know that's what everybody's wanting somewhere down the line.
Yeah, I think I wanted it earlier. It's just what's hard about that fight though is if he fights Sean, Sean's shown how good he is, but I think he's only gotten better now because he's like, okay, I'm in the top 10 now.
Yeah,
top 5.
He's finally fighting seriously.
Yeah, maybe that's something you talked about with Sean O'Malley, is that he doesn't really take it too serious. It doesn't seem like he takes it too serious, but yeah, man, I think I don't know. It's just, like you said, we're not shitting on anybody. It's just we're calling it like we see it, and it's something we talked about even before we started. I'm like, no, we just got to say it is what it is. I mean, if I went out there and I got knocked out, I mean, we're going to talk about it. And
I'm going to tell you what your problem is.
Yeah. And so, but yeah, man, like, I don't know. When you said that though, about when you were watching some of his, like you had posted him working with some of his fighters over at Metro, and whenever it happened, I was like, oh shit, like Zach fucking said that a little while back, I
was looking for the messages, because I know everybody's gonna be like, oh right.
Yeah. And so
I got somewhere.
But yeah, man, so good on Rob Font though. I mean, he got a performance of the night bonus, and I think he deserves it after he's been dealing with a lot of shit, since trying to stay in the top 10. So,
yeah. And I mean, I have to imagine that there will be a rematch at some point.
I'm sure
Adrian gets better, fights someone else in the bantamweight division. Can't think of a good matchup right now, but if he beats them, if Rob Font hasn't fought yet, or say he does fight and he loses to, I don't know, Marab or something. Yeah, I could see them getting a rematch. I don't know about this year, but I could see it being this time next year, even depending on how active they want to be.
Right. So, onto the co-main event, we had Gilbert Burns beat Jorge Masvidal in his last fight.
Thank goodness.
And so we finally get to call it quits with that one.
No more street Jesus talk. No more jumping people at the fancy steakhouses. No more having. We're never going to be done with seeing the flying knee knockout of Ben Askren.
No.
But, maybe we won't have to see it 30 times in one promo.
Yeah, no, dude. I don't know. It's just that 2019 year he had was legendary. I mean, it was a great year. I was a fan of Masvidal before the hype, and I know everyone fucking says that, but I really was like, I was a big fan of him, dude. And 2019 made me I was like really into the hype, and then after he lost to Usman, and then some things were kind of adding up with him saying this and that. I was just kind of over it, and I think a lot of people like that don't really watch the sport. We're still hyped up on him. And it's like, that all that hype that he built was like 4 years ago, He hasn't won a fight since. It's just
all he's done is talk.
Yeah, and it happens like we talked about before with the second prime. He entered his second prime, he did great, but whenever a fighter gets into their second prime and whenever it's done, it's usually in devastating fashion. And he got knocked out by Kamaru Usman, and that was really that. Gilbert Burns looked great. I think he did everything perfect. He even dropped Masvidal on multiple occasions, and Masvidal was just kind of toying with him, not as much as he used to, but
yeah.
But yeah,
almost,
it was worse. It's been worse.
I'm sure it's been worse, but he still did it far too much.
He did it. I mean, but it was just it was expected. But it like whenever I say like it wasn't as fucking bad as it was, like I was like, okay, well at least you're somewhat in a fight stance, taunting at somebody. But I don't know. I was happy for Gilbert. Even when he got to the ground, he's able to control George pretty well. And then the stand up was all Gilbert, which who would have expected that, So yeah.
If you look at it, the shots that Gilbert was landing really well was an overhand right.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that looks exactly like the way Kamaru knocked him out.
Dude.
And I wish he could have landed it and gotten the finish. I know I sound biased. That's because I am. I started to like Masvidal because I was never that big of a fan. I mean, he's a fun fight. He's a good fighter. I'm not saying he's not. I just don't like him. Not him as a person. I don't know him as a person, but him as the person that we see on TV, I didn't like. I didn't like that he beat Pat Healy, and that's when I stopped watching. That's when I stopped liking him. I was trying to look for what year that was. I think it was like 2014 or something. That was one of the first times I saw him, and he beat Darren Cruikshank too. Coming off The Ultimate Fighter, I was a fan of his. And then he got beat by Masvidal. So Masvidal just beat all the people I like, and that's why I don't like him. That's the story there. But I would have liked to have seen Gilbert land that overhand right, just like Kamaru, because he was throwing it just like Kamaru did.
Dude, it was
a little less power. But
what's crazy is like he's had that same issue since he had been fighting in backyards. Like if you go back and watch his backyard fight against that dude Ray, like he got dropped by that same shot.
Ray?
Yeah. I don't know.
Just Ray?
I don't know what this fucking guy's last name. Dude,
he's like Cher or Prince.
We used to look up fucking Kimbo Slice on the internet. Man.
I know. I'm just...
These guys
and yeah, that's right. Masvidal's from the same thing.
Yeah.
The same exact backyards.
So, I mean, shit, dude. I mean, at one point, everybody called him Game Bread. That's what we had going on there. So we had Ray, not Ray Charles, Ray. So
Ray,
yeah,
formerly known as Ray.
Yeah, I don't know what the guy's last name is. I'll look up on both.
Just good old Ray. Everybody knows Ray.
Go to MySpace.
Anyway, yeah, he knocked out Masvidal. That's what you're saying.
He dropped him in one of their fights. Though this is the one fight that made him blow up. Like
Masvidal did in
the backyards. Yeah, when he fought that dude Ray. He fought that dude Ray. But like Ray dropped him in the first fight, and it was with the same right hand that knocked him that he got knocked out by. And against Usman, and so Gilbert Burns saw that and he capitalized on it. I think he was kind of smart by not throwing it a lot, just because Masvidal was just focused on the right hand after that, And yeah, I don't know, man, but hats off to him. He had a good career.
Yeah, he fought for freaking ever, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, that brings us to the main event, which is the reason you're all here. If you decided to stick around for 23 minutes, Israel Adesanya finally gets revenge on Alex Bahia by doing exactly what we said he should do, almost. I wanted him to grapple. I think we both wanted him to grapple,
yeah,
but we didn't expect him to. So what we wanted was him to go out there and be more aggressive.
Yeah.
And I think he was certainly trying to. What we saw him do was try to land that overhand right a lot. Because that's how he caught him in that last fight.
Yeah.
Just before the round ended, he caught him with that, or just as the round ended, he caught him with the right hand.
Mm-hmm.
So he kept throwing it exactly the same, and it was kind of working, like he was landing it. But he just wasn't able to get. What I think it was is like I don't think he was able to get the extension on it that he wanted to, and that's why it wasn't delivering as well as he wanted. And so now what it came down to is when he got backed up against the cage, we will say for now, and then he threw the right, and it did the job.
Yeah,
that was
he was
pretty nice.
He was able to kind of rope it up a little bit, move around.
So that's what I was gonna say. Do we believe it was rope-a-dope?
Uh,
I do, because of the way he shelled up from a calf kick.
I do think that knee did land though.
I think the knee landed. I'm
Yeah.
sure it hurt.
Because
I think the knee landed after he shelled up, right?
I talked to Jake about it, and he was like, "I don't think the knee landed." And I was like, "You don't think so?" He's like, "No." I was like, "I don't know, man. It just you see his head kind of turn the other way from it."
Yeah,
because Pereira has really sneaky knees.
and knees don't have to land to hurt.
Yeah,
They just have to hit anything, and it's gonna hurt.
And I think it barely it got inside where he was blocking at, and he kind of he kind of fucking like went with it, was like kind of bobbing and weaving. Then he was getting like Pereira was starting to let go, and fucking Adesanya came with that overhand, and then that left hook which is just, I don't know, what was that? Divine intervention?
Oh,
or
I don't know.
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure what you're trying to say.
I don't even know what that even means. So it's just the left hook, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm really happy to see Israel win. I want Alex to move up. It sounds like Dana wants him to move up because he didn't really entertain the idea of a rematch, and I'm glad because we don't freaking need one.
Yeah.
But I will say that Jan Blachowicz said that he would come down to middleweight and fight Izzy for the belt. I wouldn't mind seeing that.
I'd be happy with it
because I feel like the weight cut would mess with Jan, and it'd be fun to watch him being a little handicapped trying to fight Israel. Like, if he doesn't feel good during that fight because of the weight cut, Israel's going to look really good. Just going off of their last fight, it'd be interesting to see how well Izzy can look against a hurting Jan.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. That's all.
But yeah, man. And then on top of that, the post-fight celebration by Izzy was really funny. What else happened? But yeah, I don't really know who Izzy fights next. People were trying to say Drix du Plessis. I don't want to see him fight him yet. There's Sean Strickland. There's nobody in the top 5 that he hasn't already beat. And there's 2 guys that he's already fought twice with, Marvin Vettori and Robert Whittaker.
Yeah.
So it's like I really don't care to see him fight any of those guys again.
I'd like to see him finish some of this stuff. I do think he's beaten Robert Whittaker twice, but I'd like for him to finish Robert Whittaker if they have a rematch. Yeah. I should rephrase that. I don't want him to finish Robert Whittaker, but if he's going to keep beating Robert Whittaker... Yes. If he's going to keep beating Robert Whittaker, then I want him to finish it. I want him to go out there and put a stamp on it and say, nope, I'm better than this guy. Stop giving him the rematch. And then the same thing with Vettori. Put the stamp on it, be done with it, and then we get new people.
Yeah. Because
I can't imagine, even if you're top 2 or 3, you're not going to get a 4th shot at the title.
Yeah.
Well, at least in Whittaker's sense. Vettori's not ever going to get But... No. Yeah, there needs to be some people who rise up in middleweight. We had the little Alex Pereira thing. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but if it's not him next, I don't know who it would be. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So let us know who you think it should be. We appreciate that.
What middleweight big shot do you want to see take down Israel Adesanya, or at least have the next shot at him? I think it'd be interesting. Like I said, I would like to see Jan come down. He said he would. Mm-hmm. When was the last time we seen Jan fight anyway? It's been a while. So
the middleweight division is really lacking right now.
Yeah, so you put Jan Blachowicz in there. What if he makes the weight perfectly? And what if he's like, oh no, I actually feel better than I do at light heavyweight? Yeah. Jan Blachowicz at middleweight permanently? That'd be wild.
It would be wild.
And then Yuri's like, I could do that too. But yeah, so let us know your thoughts on UFC 287. Let us know if you have anything you want from us. You want us to talk about other things. You want us to do more individual videos. Do you hate the individual videos? Apparently some people don't like the filters. That's okay too. That's okay. I'm going to keep doing them. So y'all take care.